A hilarious new stand-up special from comedy legend Jim Gaffigan, The Skinny, is coming to Hulu November 22nd. This Thanksgiving, see Jim in a whole new light as he gives you the inside scoop on everything from parenting teenagers to weight loss and gaslighting family members. For everyone in need of a happy hour, the new hilarious stand-up special, Jim Gaffigan, The Skinny, premieres November 22nd, streaming on Hulu.
This Thanksgiving, Butterball wants you to really connect. Let's get back to sharing traditions together around the table. Let's talk like we used to. We'll help with the turkey so you can enjoy every moment. Visit Butterball.com for turkey tips.
Ask me, ask Iliza anything. It's time to ask. Ask me all your questions. Leave them in the Instagram comment section. Leave them on your Twitter or leave them on your Facebook. We'll see them, we'll read them, then we'll give you answers. You know it, I've got it. I've got the answer, the answer. You ask me, I'll tell you anything. Welcome back to another episode of Ask Iliza Anything. I know you are listening from home because you're not allowed to go out unless you live in Florida or Georgia, where your governor is like, yeah, take to the oceans, do whatever you want, spit in each other's mouths. We have a reputation to uphold.
Or you're an Uber driver.
Or you have a job. But we're here for you. I saw a post today. I always feel lame when I quote Instagram, but I follow this account called Face Gym because I used to go to Face Gym when people were allowed out of their homes, and it's this place that massages your face. You feel really good. Anyway, they had a quote on there.
So not really a gym.
It's not really a gym. They took a picture of something. It looks like it's in another country. I think it's in London because Face Gym's in London, by something called Bright Vibes. And it said, staying positive doesn't mean you have to be happy all the time. It means that even on hard days, you know that there are better ones coming. I felt that on an atomic level because sometimes people are like, don't be negative, don't get down. I'm like, I'm not. You're allowed to be pissy. You're allowed to be in a bad mood. You're allowed to feel bad. But this whole thing saddens me because I'm very into looking to the future and looking forward to even the tiniest things, like a cup of coffee. And so my bright horizons have gotten very small. I go to bed excited for coffee the next day because I know I can't leave and go do stand up my favorite things. So look forward to what little joys you can, whether it's having extra dinner or extra dessert or eating all the cake that your husband made. So what?
Well, when I used to go to a body gym, which is actually a massage parlor.
So we're going to be here to answer your questions, your burning queries. I thought I was going to do an episode with Emily, but we're not going to today. And it's going to be with...
Why not? What happened?
I don't know what happened, but she's okay. That makes it sound like she's not. She's totally okay. So we're going to answer some of your questions that you'd submitted prior. And we have some backup questions as well. So let's get it cracking. I already circled
These
one.
questions were not intended for me, but look out, folks.
Yeah, they are. These are from last week.
Oh, I wasn't on last week either.
Here's one. Cat Watson. My boyfriend and I are moving in together this week, and we'll have around 2 to 3 weeks of quarantine together. Well, when you wrote this, you thought it was 2 to 3 weeks. Turns out it's a lifetime. Any relationship advice for this? We're excited, but gosh, this seems like a lot at once.
It is. Yeah, I mean, you are in it at this point, regardless.
I mean, even for a marriage, this is it. Nobody signs up to be together 24/7 unless you're like Amish. So
this is, I think, the longest you and I ever been in the same city.
Yeah, it's tough. This is not really a test of a relationship. These are like extenuating circumstances. That's like saying like, I was going to go camping and then I signed up for the Navy SEAL exams. And if I couldn't make those, then I can't go camping normally. It's like, you can't. Under normal circumstances, your relationship might be fine.
It's a relationship expediter.
It's more of in terms of ending it.
It moves it along it's like a pressure cooker, but not in the pressure way. It makes things cook faster.
You also, even if you only have one apartment, like you still have headphones. I'm sorry, one apartment. What? You don't have multiple apartments? You still have, if you have one bedroom, you still have headphones. You still have a book. You still can take walks outside, people. Like, it's not like,
yeah,
like
I guess my
acid rain.
My advice is let it go. Let stuff go. That's the best advice. Just when you realize you're stewing over like something really inconsequential, let it go.
And then make a stew.
Make a stew
of all your pain. Sarah from Florida here. I've been to 2 of your shows and I just watched Spencer Confidential. Love everything you do. Thank you. What are you guys doing to combat quarantine boredom? What about Tianfu? Does she get extra training for jumping over sofa cushions? Cutest snow peach ever. Well, I believe not so much in structure, but there was an article in the Sunday New York Times today, and a lot of people are writing articles about this, and all of the articles pretty much say the same thing, and it's how you don't have to be the most productive right now. And especially as Americans, we base our value on how productive we're being. When people first started saying this, my thought was, nice try. I'm not going to slow down just so you can beat me. I'm coming out of this with a whole script. I will say I've gotten slower with my production. We were a little sick for the first couple of weeks, but it is difficult to put goals for yourself when it's just so vast and nebulous and there's no end in sight. We do our Don't Panic Pantry, and Smokey Husky, you do a lot of work for that.
I do. But also, like, if you weren't that productive before, then you're going to be that productive now. So
what's the work you do that goes into it? Because it's not just turn the camera on. You do a lot of work for it.
Yeah. Well, the recipe writing and all that stuff now too. So once it got more popular and people wanted to do it, then we was like, oh, well, now we need to be able to post the recipes in advance, which means I have to write a recipe, which was, so you're sort of writing very loose, modifiable recipes, but then it's like people aren't going shopping very often. So you need to start planning out your meals, a week and change in advance. So it's every time pretty time consuming.
We do a recipe. He has posted the recipe. He's written the recipe, posted it, put out the ingredients. I was uploading things to IGTV, but the truth is you can just watch them on my Facebook, and I don't know. So yeah, it's not so much about combating bored. I'm not bored because I know I have so many things that I have to do, and we're still taking meetings from other projects, and we're still trying to sell shows in new formats given the circumstances. I think if you're saying you're bored, then it's kind of a stupid person thing to say. I went on TikTok, which I erased this morning because I think it's a stupid app, and it really is for just young people and stupid people. It's one of the two. And people that are like, I'm so bored, I'm making this boring TikTok. Pick up a fucking book. Go on a website, read something. You don't have to be productive all the time, but to be bored when there's so much information out there. This is why America's losing.
Also, we were all bored before we were quarantined.
Yeah.
You would get all your work done, you do all this stuff, and you scroll through Netflix and you get bored, and it was the same thing.
Yeah. That being said, went through a TikTok hole last night. I'd taken a quarter of an Ambien. I was like, I'm just going to lay here. And I have a rule for myself where I don't engage in social media if I'm on Ambien. I don't write anything, or I try not to leave the bed.
That's my rule for you.
It's your rule now. But I got into a TikTok hole, and after the 500th video of nope, yup, are we hot lesbians? Yup. Do we care? Nope. Am I mixed Dominican with light eyes? Yup. It's insane. A video came up on TikTok of a guy going hey, TikTok user, we know you love the videos, but they'll still be here tomorrow. So put the phone down and go to bed. And I was like, oh no, the algorithm knows me.
And you went, nope.
Nope. Yup. I'm bored in the house, and I'm in the house bored. Miss Lau Boynton, you guys are the best, and you've kept me sane these past weeks. My husband and I, we already had a courthouse civil wedding, are having our destination wedding in southern Italy at the beginning of June, and I'm starting to have a low-key meltdown of whether we should postpone it. But that would also entail moving lots of plane tickets and canceling lodging plans for the honeymoon afterward. It was already going to be a really small affair with a few friends. We're just trying to be positive. What would you do in this situation? Eliza, any wisdom to share? Thank you for all the laughs and everything.
I'd probably move it.
I would probably move it.
Yeah.
I just would. Because even if tomorrow... Go ahead.
Sorry, I would say try to get it moved now with full refund. And if they're like, well, we're still feeling it out, then wait, because I'll probably be forced to later.
Yeah. You also, just because people say you can go, it doesn't mean the people of those towns will be back. Doesn't mean that it's going to be the Italy that you thought it was going to be.
Italy already loves an excuse to shut down.
Yeah, the country already shuts down for multiple hours during the day anyway. You're going to lose even more money in the long run. So mitigate your loss by being in control of the planning now.
Yeah.
We had to make that call when we canceled Denver. It was days before this became a thing. And I was like, just do it. It's the right thing. I'm glad because...
We canceled part of our honeymoon. We were already there.
Yeah, we left. Italy can be a little trying. But I was also exhausted, which is information you would hear in my new hour if I were allowed to perform it anywhere and leave my home.
Fall has fallen. Winter is on its way. The days are shorter. But just because, well, they feel shorter. And just because the days feel shorter doesn't mean your to-do list gets any shorter. You still have to power through your busy days. And a great way to do that is with nutritious food from Factor's no prep, no mess meals. At the end of a short day in the fall or the winter, the last thing you want to do is have to cook. Factor has got you covered from breakfast, snacks, dinner, anything in between. Factor has easy, nutritious options to keep you fueled, like their chicken Florentine with spinach and garlic chili cauliflower. You bet. That's what I want to make myself at the end of a day where I am exhausted and my husband isn't home. Whether you like routine or you enjoy mixing things up, Factor has you covered with 35 different delicious meals every week and over 60 additional convenience options you can add on, like keto cookies, pressed juices, and smoothies. And because Factor meals are chef prepared and dietitian approved, you're going to love not only Factor's meals taste, but also how they support your goals, even if your goal was just making yourself dinner. Head to factormeals.com/Eliza50 and use code Eliza50 to get 50% off your first box and 20% off your next month. That's code Eliza50 at factormeals.com/Eliza50 to get 50% off your first box, plus 20% off your next month while your subscription is active. The holidays are here. And for a lot of us, the holidays mean decorating, hosting, celebrating. For me, it means a lot of traveling. And nothing feels better year-round, but especially during the cozy holidays, than a restful night's sleep in soft, luxurious sheets. Boll & Branch's signature sheets are made with the finest 100% organic cotton, and they get softer with every single wash. You already know that I got Boll & Branch this summer when I needed breathable sheets to sleep in, but this holiday season, I'm actually gifting some of my friends and family Boll & Branch's Ultimate Softness Bundle. I get to choose a signature hem sheet set in any color, a signature hem pillow set, and a waffle bed blanket. And they're all getting juniper because I think it's a classy color. This way, you know you have something nice to sleep on when you visit. It's the perfect gift for you and them. Gift you and your loved ones a better night's sleep with Boll & Branch. And right now is their best offer of the entire year. For 25% off plus free shipping on your first set of sheets, head to bollandbranch.com/Eliza. That's Boll & Branch, BOLLAND branch.com/Eliza for 25% off. Limited time only. Exclusions apply. See site for details. So finally, fall is here. I have been looking forward to it. I have had a hard year in a good way. You know, like I had a baby. I have been on a nonstop tour, nonstop traveling, and it's been hot. So I'm looking forward to, of course, pumpkin spice, everything, cooler weather, and slipping into a cozy sweater from Quince. I've talked about Quince before. Quince has beautiful leather jackets, cotton cardigans, soft denim, and so much more. All Quince items are priced 50 to 80% less than similar brands. Dressing expensive doesn't have to be expensive. Their clothing is beautiful, it's durable, it stands the test of time, and it's what I like to call a capsule wardrobe. I got an Italian wool cocoon coat. That's one of those, you know, it's got like a European collar and it covers my butt so I can walk around New York City and not be chilly. And Quince only works with factories that use safe, ethical, and responsible manufacturing practices. Get cozy in Quince's high-quality wardrobe essentials. Go to quince.com/Eliza for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's QUINCE.com/Eliza to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/Eliza.
Emma_Marie 9715. At what point in your relationship with Smokey Husky did you move in together? I know it's situational, but when do you think it's right? Also, love all of you, and I hope you're staying safe. Love from the Beast Coast. You can answer that.
It's like one of those, like when people ask me for recipe, like how long does it cook for? And it's like, if I tell you a number, then you'll think that it's a rule or something, and that's not how life works. But for a reference point for us, I actually don't know how long it was till we like officially moved in, but I kind of moved right in.
He moved right in. I mean,
I still paid rent and had a place to live where I went while she was out of town.
Yeah, I had a 2-bedroom house to myself, and he came from a house with roommates. And it's like, where would you rather have sex?
Well, so we were just hanging out all the time.
We were hanging out all the time. I never spent the night at your house, though.
No, still don't know if you've ever even been there.
I've been there.
Did you ever go inside?
Yes.
Okay.
One time for a party.
That's true. One time for a
They
party.
were playing beer pong, and I was like, this is why I'm not here. Okay. The Liz Saunders. Does Smokey Husky find himself being critical of restaurants when you go out to eat? How's the food? How the food prepared, served, tastes? How clean the restaurant looks?
Yeah, we're both critical. I just think I think I'm as critical. Everyone else is as critical as you are. We're just sort of sometimes focus on different things.
Yeah, that's fair.
I think, a little more lenient about some things that other people are get more stressed about, and then certain stuff will annoy me that people don't care about. So it's kind of it's just different stuff.
We decided to patronize a local place and pick up coffee the other day while picking up some other things, and you order it to go. On an app, and I arrived and they had just finished our coffees without us being there, and they were in plastic, which fine, I get it, but placed them outside. So they were just sitting in the sun when we got there. And I almost had a meltdown. It's just like people forget details or the fact that that's not a good idea, or like and we had iced coffee. And so it's like, yeah, I get it. Like, oh, you're just a rich girl and your coffee, big deal. People forget when you pay for something, you're expecting something. And I'm choosing to patronize your restaurant in a time of stress. Don't act like my dollar doesn't matter and just stick my coffee outside because you're a fucking moron. It was like the first time we had gone out for coffee in a while. And some girl was like, I don't know, here. And you're just like, okay, cool. Glad I'm contributing to this. I don't care.
And that didn't bother me at all. I didn't care. But it made Iliza crazy. So, again, different things.
I think also as a diner, here's the thing. You are choosing to vote with your dollar. Like, I don't have to eat there. I don't expect white glove service, but one of our pet peeves is like when food takes forever. All you have to do as a waiter is come up to the table and say, hey, you guys, the kitchen is slammed. We are so sorry. We're working on it. Don't lie to me. Don't make me feel like the asshole. Excuse me, we ordered 45 minutes ago. Oh, yeah, it's coming up. And then it doesn't. All you have to do is be honest with your customers and just don't treat us like idiots for coming in. That's fair, right?
Yeah, I'm always a believer in that. People are much more receptive to the truth and to this like weird like feeling. People have this weird idea sometimes that like by trying to hide things from the customers, be like, oh, it's just going to be another minute longer. Like as if you guys are just morons. So it takes 45 minutes to cook something versus like, if you were like, I'm so sorry, like we dropped it and we had to make it over again.
I'd be like, okay,
oh
cool.
Man, that sucks. But thanks for telling me.
I've been a waiter. I totally get it. One of my biggest pet peeves is young girls thinking that they're slick. I remember I went one time, this was probably in my very early 30s, to like some store on Larchmont, and I was like buying new clothes, and I bought a ton of clothes. And I made a joke at the end, because I bought more than the average customer buys there. And I made a joke at the end. I was like, oh, can I get a discount? Because I purchased so much. And this like 20-year-old girl who thought she was so hot, she goes, tell you what, next time you come in, we'll give you that discount. And I was like, oh, is that your sales guide 101? Like, try to incentivize me to come back. I'm like, who does that work on? Also, I've been that young girl. So when like a 22-year-old is like, here's my idea. You're like, nice try. I'm not that old. I could have birthed you had I had no choices. You're not slick. I'm too young for you to be slick.
Yeah, along those lines, like I hate when like you can tell that there's like a server who is like trying to like trick you somehow or trying to like get one over on you, be like, oh, well, like when they're like, getting a little too showmany, and I'm like, you're too many steps removed from reality. Like you think that you're like playing me in some way versus having a real, I believe in genuine human interactions.
Just be a person. Also, when it comes to retail, which we all know is the worst job, I've definitely had a retail job. It can be soul sucking. That being said, a lot of you write in saying how much you love your retail job. So that's great, to each their own. I find, and I only ever worked at Steve Madden on a commission basis, I sometimes when I'm shopping, I look for blatant honesty in a sales girl helping me. Like I'll try something on that I know looks bad, and I want her to be like, that's maybe not the best fit for you. Versus, yeah, that looks fucking dope. If you just yes and me and I know it looks bad, then I know you're just going for the sale and you're not trying to help me. If you are trying to help me and you're like, yeah, let's get you something else, then I know you're actually trying to help me find something versus just upselling me. Or when you ask the waiter, what's great on the menu? And they're like, well, the Kobe beef lobster. And you're like, okay, got it. You're an asshole.
Yeah. Whereas like if a server directs you towards something less expensive, then you're like, this is actually, I like this more. And they explain why. Like that's an amazing thing. Semi-related is like, I remember when I was younger, I was always like a little embarrassed to mention price point when I asked about what kind of wine I wanted. Like it felt tacky to be like, what do you have on the, under $40 a bottle?
Under $3.
And
what do you have in the hooch section?
But like I always felt like embarrassed about that. And then once you work in the industry and all this stuff, you start to realize like, wait, that's stupid. This is part of the job. They wouldn't be on the menu if they weren't willing to sell them.
Also, they're still a waiter.
Yeah.
Like, and you could be a waiter just at to dinner. I remember there was an absolutely fabulous episode where they went in shopping and the woman who was working there was so rude. And Adina just went like, you only work here, you know. And it's like, yeah, you're representing the brand. And I'm pretty sure your boss doesn't want you to be a fucking asshole to the people who come in.
And also, you can be rich and still think it's dumb to spend a certain amount of money on a bottle of wine if you don't want to. And
that's how you stay rich, by the way, not by spending money.
So
Money to make money.
I am a big believer in people being confident in asking what they want and say, hey, what's your favorite bottle of wine that's in this price range, like under $40? I like this type of wine. That kind of stuff is good to do.
The initial question was about talking about being critical of restaurants, and I think we've talked about it here, but tell me your thing, because it blew my mind to learn this about the ratings on restaurants, like
the ratings?
The ABC stuff.
Oh, I mean, this is a sort of slightly more complicated conversation, but it is there are so many rules in terms of restaurant health and safety, and there's a ton of gray area. So for the most part, it really kind of depends on who your health inspector is and what stuff they focus on. We can have the same restaurant with a different health inspector every time and doing the exact same things and get totally different ratings. Some things they care about, some things they don't. So, hopefully you get somebody who actually cares about the business and is smart about stuff. And usually if you find a good one, they're really trying to work with you to make sure that you're following up on the right things and responding to stuff and paying attention. That being said, if you get a C, you're probably not paying attention very much.
There's a Russian bakery in Hollywood that has a C rating.
I mean, you can't have one for very long because either it has to go up from there or you get closed.
Like, there's no meat. I guess there's eggs. Maybe there's meat in there.
So even you have no idea what the things
I don't know what's going on.
But it could be, it's where your trash is stored.
Stolichnaya Bakery doesn't look like a fun hang.
If your water heater is not hot enough for your washing your hands in the sink.
Yeah, it's not always a gross thing. It's not always like you're killing live animals in your sink.
Not being able to wash your hands is pretty gross.
Well, I think it's more like, remember that sushi place we went into where they had a fish tank? Which, first of all, don't have a fish tank. Like, I'm not eating a goldfish. So don't have like a small like household.
No, they had a whole tuna in it.
No, it would. Do you remember? It's that. Okay, it's this. I'm not gonna say where it is. It's the fish, and they had a fish tank, and it was like dirty and old, and there were no fish in it, but like they had like a rubber hose coming out of it. Like at a fish restaurant, don't have a fish tank that's dirty with algae and being cleaned.
Well, it's like we also laugh about like the associative stuff people have with restaurants where like you're sitting, on the beach with an ocean view eating seafood, but really you're probably eating like Alaskan crab and you're like,
You told me that and it blew my mind. You're like, most places that serve food on the beach or beachfront, that fish is not from that ocean.
And also one of the crazy things too is how much stuff is caught in the U.S., processed in China and then shipped back to the U.S. So it's just around the world. And
would you say it was like 90% of squid or something?
I forget. I'm not going to quote a stat. I don't remember.
Anyways, it is very difficult to eat local. And when you eat at a beachside restaurant, you're paying for the view, not necessarily for fresh fish, unless you live in like Maine or something.
Yeah, it's not like you go to a steakhouse. It's just like in front of a giant pasture.
That would be so brutal. He's like, why'd they stop moving? Stateless 3. Hey, Iliza, sending some lighthearted, thought-provoking questions. Oh, good. Your way in this time of quarantine. So whenever I meet new people...
This better be lighthearted and thought-provoking.
She wrote personal or professional setting. Thank you. I have a few questions. I always like to get to know them. I have this theory that the way you prefer your eggs and coffee tells a lot about who you are as a person. I find there's a tendency for people... I mean, you must be polling nonstop, but for people that like more runny yolks in their eggs, sunny side up over easy poached, are more likely to be easygoing, willing to try new things, step outside of their comfort zone, versus scrambled or over hard people tend to stick to a routine. As for coffee, those who like it black, like dry red wine or dark chocolate are also applicable, are better at dealing with confrontational and stressful times because they've learned to appreciate the bitterness in their coffee. This feels very biblical. Do you have any similar theories to get to know you questions? Do these apply to you and Smokey Husky? You've been amazing on every platform. Thank you so much.
The big one for...
By the way, anytime you say I have a theory, it just sets it up for anyone to be like, here's why I disagree.
The big one, obviously for, human judgment, especially if you worked in service industry like that, is people tipping. Like if people who don't tip, or tip really horribly, that's usually that's more indication of a type of person to me than how they drink their coffee. But to me, actually, I think it's, sometimes somebody might drink black coffee that they think it makes them seem tougher or cooler, but really they don't like it that way, but they're doing it because I think it's more important to order the way that you're confident in. Like if you really like your steak medium, but you feel like you're going to get judged for it, so you order it medium rare, then you're not tougher. You're just
you're afraid of what people think of you.
Yeah.
Black coffee, it's very poetic, right? Black coffee, a whiskey, a cigarette. It's always coffee and cigarettes. Very French.
Or for intermittent fasting.
Intermittent fasting, which we do. To be honest, I take it however. Sometimes I love a sugary drink. I haven't started enjoying black coffee more recently. The eggs, I kind of don't care. And I always think it's such a weird, like it's still, for the most part, going to taste the same. You're going to put hot sauce and salt on it, maybe ketchup if you're a garbage person. So who cares?
Also, different things go with different things. Depends on what you're having it with.
I do believe in social indicators. Certain things indicating, and it doesn't make you a bad person or not, certain levels of education. I do immediately lose respect for people when they are correcting me, but they don't speak properly. That bothers me. Punctuation. I know the internet gets mad about like your, and your, and there, and there, but those things do matter. And of course you can mess up, but it's not about good versus bad. It's in everything that you do and the way that you act and everything, you're always telling people about yourself. And I don't think it's a bad thing to gather that information to make a correct assessment. Love to be proven wrong.
And a discovery too in the restaurant business we've found is like a lot of times something like how well your steak is cooked isn't necessarily having to do with whether you have good or bad taste. It actually, in my kind of anecdotal findings, or really in discussion with people across the board, it usually is more socioeconomic than anything else. People who prefer the taste of well-done meat, in a large percentage of the time, it has to do with when they were growing up, they didn't have access to high enough quality meat that you would have eaten it rare. So it's more cooked through. So like, if you're eating McDonald's, they don't ask you how you want your burger cooked.
Right.
So you've never had rare beef before.
Or it's like, if you eat it like a Golden Corral, I'm not putting that down. Or,
it
like
has gold in the title, so it sounds expensive.
like a Ruby Tuesday or something. You notice they're always doing specials for like Asiago steak. They're putting sauces and dressings and things on the meat so that you can't tell that it's a lesser cut quality. And that's okay. This is
a
nothing
good
to
rule
do.
of thumb is the better the ingredients, the less things you have to do to them.
Papa John's. It's true. Like better ingredient. You said better ingredients. Everybody in America thought that. I do believe in social indicators.
Better than what?
I also think I judge people on the way that they treat waitstaff. I judge people, I think there's a quote about this, on the way that they treat people who could do nothing for them. Are you rude to the guy that is taking your money at the gas station? Are you rude to a waiter? Do you relish the opportunity to make someone feel less than when they're waiting on you? That says a lot about a person.
The same thing too when someone's like, well, I was only an asshole to that person because, I had a lot going on that day. And, or it's like, I had a lot happening to me. So it was a stressful situation. So,
you're allowed.
But to me, that's the better indication of what you're really like is
under pressure
is what you're like when things are tougher.
Here's the problem with that though. We're all only human and everybody's a breaking point. I really believe I seldom throw the first punch, but I think people are I think the less aware you are, I think it's a luxury to be unaware of how you're acting. And I think a lot of people know that they're assholes, but they're like, whatever, I'm successful. I can do this. And so you go up to someone to buy something, interact, and they're rude. I'm very sensitive. So if I throw it right back, all of a sudden it's like, whoa, what's her problem? And I'm like, you started it. Stay awake. Stay on it. And I know I'm like keeping tabs on things that don't matter, but all we have to do is smile, be kind. And yeah, you know what? You don't have to, smile makes it like, oh, make her smile. But all you have to do is just a modicum of decency toward the other human. Even if you hate where you are. I've had nights that I'm not happy on stage. I don't come out and tell the audience to get fucked. I still do my job.
Yeah.
And also, by the way, it's a lovely job because I worked hard at that lovely job. You don't like your job? Get out of it. Go back to school. Read a book.
Never tell a woman to smile, but I will be walking down the street sometimes, like now with this Corona stuff happening, and you're walking your dog and you see someone going, it can be a man or a woman. And if that guy walks by and you're in your neighborhood and you kind of smile and nod and they just like don't smile back and you'll keep their head down and be weird, I'm just like, you know what? Fuck that guy.
People are just so, it does. It's like,
not a man-woman thing.
Not being humans. Daphne_loves, highlights smoky skin, Tianfu, the Chinese meat. Love the pod and all of your work. I'll see you in October when you come to Portland. Fingers crossed. And especially what you've been doing with your cooking video. Okay, thank you. My question is, should I move out? I got out of a nasty breakup a year ago when I was living with my ex where he lied and cheated on me under the qualms of having an open relationship when in reality he wanted to be with someone else and I didn't have the courage to break up with me. Since we are graduate students and finding good roommates is difficult in a college town, we decided we would finish out our lease and then separate onto different sides of the house. It's a 5-bedroom, 3-bath house, especially since the rent is so cheap. Great location. And the landlord is a personal friend. Last minute spin that my ex threw in right before we signed the lease is that the girl he was cheating on me with was going to live there as well. Puke. We have coexisted peacefully with only a few minor roommate-related quips over the past month. I'm very much over the breakup and have my own hunky cowboy now that I'm seeing, who is aware, this is very long, and fine with my living situation. The problem is my friends think that I need to be removed because it's toxic. I'm planning on staying there through another year, seeing as though there haven't been any major problems and my ex and his girlfriend, along with my other roommates, are fine. I'm over him. Don't regret dumping him for a second. I'm just trying to finish my PhD. And I don't want to have to deal with living with a bunch of strangers. Honestly,
I'd rather live with strangers than my ex and their lover.
Yeah, it's a little weird. But you have a new boyfriend, so hopefully you can spend some nights at his house. But the truth is, you are there to get your PhD. And if you can honestly talk me in the face and say that you don't care about, I mean, obviously that relationship would run its course. If it truly doesn't bother you, we all have had breakups where you're like, yeah, it's fine. Like it wasn't the love of your life. If it really doesn't bother you, then your friends need to let it go. Or are you exhibiting behavior that makes your friends think that you're not over it? And why are you writing in about it?
Yeah. It's weird. I don't care how over it you are. It's still weird. You should move out. Unless you really like can't afford to.
Yeah. And you've made your peace with it. I mean, maybe.
Yeah, there's something weird if you're really that worried about like having new roommates and meeting new people and you'd rather hang out with your ex-boyfriend and the person he cheated on you with.
Right. The cheating thing sucks. Maybe they only dated for a little bit. I mean,
they lived together.
Right. That makes a lot of sense. Okay. There's something weird there. Maybe the relationship had run its course and you were both just you were just afraid to break up with him.
Yeah. So move out.
But also, if you can't, your friend should be sympathetic to the fact that you're in school. You probably don't have a lot of money. Whatever your decision is, if you're not being weird about it, your friend should get over it. Unless you're complaining about it. I've had those friends that are in like bad relationships and they just complain endlessly. And you're like, if you don't just break up with them, I don't want to hear about it. So I don't know. We don't know the other side of that. But your hot cowboy boyfriend sounds great.
There's no way you're going to move out and be like, oh my God, I just wish I still lived with my ex-boyfriend and her lover.
Can you move in with your hot cowboy boyfriend? He's a cowboy. He's got a ranch. He's got animals. Doesn't he sound hot? Smokey? Sound so hot? Smokey?
He's a cowboy?
He's a hot cowboy?
Okay.
Smokey man?
I've noticed that, at least since I've had my babies, that I smell differently when I sweat. Maybe I'm just like getting older. I don't know, but I smell differently. And I don't love that. If I'm on set or if I'm on stage or if I'm doing anything like functioning in public and I don't want sweat stains or to be aware of my stinky, stinky pits, that's when I turn to Lumi whole body deodorant because it keeps me smelling fresh all day. Lumi is seriously safe to use anywhere on your body. Pits, under boobs, right ladies, thigh folds, belly buttons, butt cracks, your feet. It's clinically proven to block odor all day and control odor for up to 72 hours. How? Well, unlike certain traditional deodorants that may try to mask odor with a fragrance, Lumi is formulated and powered by mandelic acid to stop odor before it starts. Lumi's starter pack is perfect for new customers. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice like mini body wash or deodorant wipes, and free shipping. As a special offer for listeners, new customers get 15% off all Lumi products with our exclusive code. If you combine the 15% off with the already discounted starter pack, that equals over 40% off the starter pack. Use code Iliza for 15% off your first purchase at LumiDeodorant.com. That's code Iliza at LumiDeodorant.com.
A hilarious new stand-up special from comedy legend Jim Gaffigan, The Skinny, is coming to Hulu November 22nd. This Thanksgiving, see Jim in a whole new light as he gives you the inside scoop on everything from parenting teenagers to weight loss and gaslighting family members. For everyone in need of a happy hour, the new hilarious stand-up special, Jim Gaffigan, The Skinny, premieres November 22nd, streaming on Hulu.
Demon Giardo. First, Don't Panic Pantry's awesome. Hopefully it can continue. I don't think there's any cooking shows with comedy. Thank you. Networks, listen up. You guys crush both. Second, got any advice for my sanity for people such as myself working in healthcare and hospitals on the edge of a possible long run of endless nights. I can't wait to do a pasta fagioli when I can cook for myself and not live off jerky and hard-boiled eggs. So you want to know
If we have advice for people who are,
doing jobs we could never do.
yeah.
I'm like, just have fun with it. It kind of trivializes.
Don't wash your hands one day. See what happens.
Yeah, it kind of trivializes it when people who do less try to give people who do more advice. So first of all, thank you for being a healthcare worker. Just in terms of talking about my quote at the beginning of this, like looking forward to little things. Can you start every shift with a fun coffee drink? Can you do something to take your mind off? Like if you have a 15-minute break, is there funny videos you can watch? Can you do, I hate to say it, like a TikTok dance with your coworkers? Like, I think it's more about breaking up the monotony and having a good laugh. Right?
Yeah, I mean, I would think about it, I mean, from a standpoint mostly of like stress and sleep deprivation stuff. So, I know my dad's advice would be that an extra 20 minutes of meditating every morning is more important than 20 minutes of sleep.
What if it starts off as meditation and then becomes sleep? Like I do. Maybe there's, I don't know. And I feel like an idiot even giving this advice, but like, are there patients you can go talk to? I bet the patients are bored too. The ones that aren't like intubated and sleeping. Could you play a game with one of them or look at pictures of animals? Like, is there a way that you can bring joy to them while they also fill up your emotional well? Or are you not allowed to interact with them? Can you bake cookies and bring them in? You probably don't want to. Can you pool your money together and do like a betting system on something? Like which nurse is going to crack first and then the winner buys pizza? I'm trying to think of things that bring people together.
I mean, I think you don't want to bring people together. Isn't that part of the whole problem?
I meant emotionally. Okay, fine. I'm sorry. I wish we had better. What I wouldn't get involved in is a scrolling hole. Like watch a video. Don't look at videos so much that the app tells you to stop looking at the videos. Chrissy.elda. Hi, at Galutin. Any advice? I can get over my cooking anxiety. I can cook a few meals, but I'm afraid of trying complicated recipes. I want to be more comfortable in the kitchen, but I hate cooking unless it's breakfast food or dessert.
The same advice I always give is just do it. It gets easier every time. It's okay if you screw it up. It doesn't matter. Just find something that, you actually want to be able to eat that you don't know how to make. Read the recipe in advance. Read through it, try to visualize it, make sure you have everything set up for it, and then make it. And when it's done, try it. And if you hate it, then try it again. And it'll not try the same when you hate it again, but try to make the same dish again, and you'll get better at it, and you'll learn how to make the food that you like to eat. That's all that matters, is that you can make food that you like. And if you have bad taste, then it doesn't matter because it's just for you.
It. Also, if it sucks, put hot sauce on it, and it's fine. You can still eat it. Gloria.isabel.g. Smokey Husky, any advice on reducing food waste while cooking at home? I've been reading about using food scraps and bones to make my broth and such, but I'm interested to know your thoughts, tips that you may have.
Yeah, I'm a big fan and believer in saving your stuff and finding ways to use it. Obviously, it depends
saving your
on
what?
Scraps and all kinds of stuff.
Did you say saving your stub?
Your stub?
You said I'm a big fan believer in saving your stub.
I don't think so, but it's possible.
Your stub.
It really kind of depends on what it is, but you can make. If you have like the stems from your broccoli, those can be fried up into a frittata. If you have your scraps and bones, you can make stock with that stuff.
Yeah, only in America are we taught that like parts of vegetables are bad.
Why do you think riced cauliflower became so popular? Because all they're doing is selling you the florets in a bag and then selling you back the stems all run through a chopper.
I love it. Save the planet.
So, you try to, be thoughtful about the ways you want to do it. You roast the chicken, then you eat the meat, then you can freeze the bones or make stock and then freeze the stock. Carrot tops can be made into a pesto.
That's an interesting one.
Yeah, beet greens are delicious. But sometimes too, people just sort of try to save every single scrap, and it's like you just make like a really gross vegetable stock with like carrot peels and
Unless you're composting, you can't save every scrap. Sarah Von Paul, what are some of your favorite earth-friendly household products, cleaners, detergents? I'm always trying to be more earth-friendly. P.S. Upgraded to a Buffy comforter at Christmas, and my husband and I love it. Thank you. You can use my promo code Iliza. I think it's to get 20% off, 10% off your Buffy comforter. I love it. We have a Buffy comforter, babe. I don't know if you know that.
I did not know
We
that.
sleep on it every night, and that's why you love sleeping in the bed. Not because I'm there. It's a tasty comforter, and it's so comfortable, and it keeps you cool. Because I know that sometimes, I'm a girl, so I'm cold, and you're a dude, and you get hot, but you notice our bed's always temperature perfect.
You put me in an advertisement.
You're stuck here now. You gotta say it.
Help!
You want that new Maserati? We do not have Maseratis. We use this detergent
If you
called...
want 20% off a Maserati, use promo code Iliza.
There you go.
Check out.
I think our detergent's called like True Life. It's detergent that comes in strips. While I don't love that it comes in this paper package, we don't waste any plastic. It doesn't come, it's these tiny little strips that you use.
Yeah, we try to use dishwasher soap that's like the granules of soap in a cardboard box versus like a plastic one.
Like old school, like Cascade.
Yeah.
We also don't use paper towels in our home. We stopped years ago. We just use rags. It's totally fine. Napkins, I find that you get multiple uses out of them.
Yeah, and some stuff, sometimes using bar soap to wash dishes is really kind of handy. It doesn't work that well. So if you really want to use a liquid soap, buy like a large container of a super concentrated one that you can then dilute out. And do that way.
And we use bar soap in the shower. So, and when you buy your bar soaps, it always bothers me when someone's like, these are natural soaps, farm made, but they wrap them in plastic. I'm like, this defeats a big chunk of the purpose.
You're just like slowly being pulled back into the stuff that I was using when you first met me that you thought was gross.
What we're starting to go back to is like pre-war or like just post-war things. Like my mom's like, everything I had was wrapped in parchment paper with string when I was a kid. And like now that's the way everything is.
It's bespoke.
It's bespoke. We're heading back, baby. Alexis, boring. What would you and Smokey Heskey consider to be the most important thing about your marriage? I know that sounds rather vague, but it could really be anything big or small. I know it's different for everyone. I hope it's a good question. Also, what do you appreciate most about the other person? It's a sweet question. A little invasive, but that's fine.
Yeah.
Most important thing about your marriage? I think we both think different things are important.
Yeah, but we both think the other person's important.
Yeah. We both think I'm important.
Yeah, we both bond over your importance.
Sometimes when I get questions on this show, it's like, I had this thing, I don't know how to tell my husband. I'm not used to being in a relationship where I don't feel I can. I would never be in a relationship where I felt I couldn't say something to the person. And from the very beginning, you've been very good at making it very clear that we have open line of communication. I've never said something to you other than like once in a while I don't like something and you like taste wise and you have like an aneurysm, but I've never felt that I couldn't tell you anything, and that's important. I don't feel trapped. I don't feel anxious. I can share stuff with you, stuff that sometimes you probably don't even want to hear. Even if it's about like an ex-boyfriend or something, and it's never like, oh my God, I love that ex-boyfriend, I wish he was here. It's always, just stuff, like just things that are passing through my mind, but that are sticking with me for some reason. And you never judge me. You never get mad at me for my thoughts. And that's important to me.
Yeah.
Now you say something nice about me.
It's sort of a little bit of what we were talking about before. I think
also you're very funny.
We're sort of very good at, or I don't know, we seem to be pretty good at, it's kind of like air pressure and clouds and stuff, where it's like when one side gets like a little puffed up about something, the other side kind of can come in and round it out. So we can almost sometimes like take turns being upset about stuff. The other person can then be there to kind of calm it down.
Yeah, the idea is not to be on the same page. It's to be on different levels. That way when one's sad, the other one can be happy and bring them back.
And, especially like with the quarantine stuff and you get, stressed about, work stuff and restaurant business stuff. There's so many like intense sort of things happening right now that, I can have a tendency to get very aggravated by little things and maybe I'll kind of be in a funky mood and snip back about something. And they're really small things in the moment. And she's, Iliza is very good and has been especially lately about like dropping it and not caring and knowing that it's not a big deal and knowing that like holding on to things like that.
Which is crazy because I am very petty. And I mean, I almost killed the girl that put our coffees in the sun the other day. So I just think also saying sorry or, hey,
I also don't care about your relationship with that girl.
I don't. But I also think saying sorry, sometimes when you don't even mean it, more to just clear the air, just go up and give them a kiss. Men are very good at letting it go. If you're like, hey, I'm sorry. And then they're like,
you're probably better at letting things go than I am.
Well, you know what it is also? I think relationships can be lame. And I say that in one. I say that as a girl who's often been in one. And I say that as someone that's been single. I don't like typical relationship arguments. It's not sexy. It's not fun. I like to think that I live an exciting life and we do whatever we want. And I want to be this like idealized version of our jet setters. And jet setters and cool people don't have bullshit arguments, and it's unavoidable.
They definitely do, but
but they don't show it on their Instagrams. It's unavoidable, but I just don't. We're pretty lucky. I like your parents. You like mine. I just don't want to have the typical arguments. So if we can avoid them and focus on more important things, like our biggest argument is always about where to eat. Now that problem's been solved for us, but that's the thing we argue about the most. And it also doesn't matter. These aren't core issues like you cheated on me. This is like, you said you wanted pizza, you changed your mind. Okay, well, I'm trying to accommodate you and get you pizza. It all stems back to just want to make the other person happy. And a very sweet memory I have. Because even if you date someone for a while, like you don't really know them. It takes a while to see how do they function under pressure. What are they like when they're actually sad? We went to Japan. It was our first trip together. And you have a tendency to kind of get sad. There's like a heaviness to you. And you kind of, not depression, but there's something in that wheelhouse.
Like I turn inward and she tends to turn outward.
I turn outward. I'm a total empath. I need other people. I'm affected by other people. And you kind of just get quiet. And you were sad.
We both agree it's my fault.
Oh, for sure. And you just kind of get heavy. And I didn't realize this about you. And I was like, why is this guy always like a little sad? And we had like an argument or something. And I realized that you reminded me of Eeyore from Winnie the Pooh.
I think we've told this story.
I think we have too, but I think it's so cute. And when you were so sad about something and I didn't understand it, because I blow up quickly and then I'm over it. I don't hold on to things for like, I don't have any depression or anything. And I tapped you on the shoulder and I said, excuse me, is this your tail? Can I pin your tail back on? Sometimes he's just a sad Eeyore and he needs his tail pinned back on.
Yeah.
Get ready for fans to bring me dolls of Eeyore. I'm going to bring home.
Please don't.
It's Smokey Husky's tail.
No, send salami instead.
Send salami. Toru Bagdasarian.
I'm glad we said their name.
Toru Bagdasarian. I've sent this email a million times. It might start to be annoying, but I really need the help of a professional, inspiring comic like you. I just like to start this message by fangirling a bit. I really love you. Sketch show, Netflix, it's out. I'm a theater student, and next year I will have the chance to create a graduation project as one last, you wrote hooray, but you meant hurrah. Before graduating, I'm thinking of doing an hour-long stand-up show. So here's my question. First of all, before you ask the question, True's Bagdasarian, an hour-long stand-up, you can't create it. You'd have to polish it. Otherwise, you're just doing a one-man show.
Yeah,
you
start with less
You should know the difference.
time.
Yeah, start with 3 minutes. I'm a funny person. I'm sorry, you said, I'm thinking of doing an hour, so here's my question. What do you usually get to do to get inspired? Where do your bits and jokes come from? I'm a funny person. Could also say that I'm the class clown, so I make people laugh all the time. I feel like I just did something good. Sounds like, okay. How do I do that for 1 hour straight?
I'll take this one.
I thought I'd ask someone as creative and as amazing as you are. You have the answers. My favorite bit is the Shark Tank sisters and the different girls at the wedding. Take care. You guys wash your hands.
Oh, let me handle this one, babe.
Go ahead.
Start doing stand-up and then see if you can have it work for 3 minutes.
The problem is you, I don't know your name. So Toro, we'll call you Toro's Bagdasarian. Everybody thinks that they can just do stand-up. Everybody. And it is a craft. That would be like me being like, I'm going to run a marathon tomorrow. Like, while it's not an art form, there is repetition and practice
easier.
and a lot of breathing. Definitely seems easier. You can do it without knowing where people laugh and what your own voice sounds like and your point of view. An hour is such an ambitious order. I'm here to tell you right now, you're not going to be able to do it. If you frame it in the context of a one-man show, which is what I did in college, just because it was my first foray into it, then you have a bit more leeway because those are monologues and not everything has to be funny. Here's my questions to you. What is it that you want to say? How do you want to say it? Why do you want to say it? You can't do an hour of stand-up unless you're practicing. You'd have to practice it for a very long time. And if you have the time to practice it, great. But to create it just for school, if there's two things that go together, that don't go together, it's academia and stand-up. I always see people that use my specials, like I'm teaching something with my class using your special. It's not set up for that. You're not arming children There's some stuff in there, but anything smart in my specials because I learned it from school. I didn't make it
You
up.
a class on the dangers of confidence in women.
Yeah, right. In terms of what inspires me, it doesn't matter because it's all about what inspires you, what makes you laugh. And it takes over 10 years to find that point of view. And there's also a skill in even thinking about what are my inspirations. People always want these answers like, oh, I watched Carol Burnett. I watched so-and-so growing up. It's so much more multifaceted than that. My inspirations, these are the noises, the droplets, the sounds, the tones that have permeated your brain over a lifetime. It's that one substitute teacher from the 4th grade. It's the lady that worked at the Michael's craft store in your town. It's that one exchange you had on stage at a performing arts camp. It's that infomercial about Crown Pools in Dallas, Texas in 1993 that you can't get out of your head. It's all of these little things that inform the way that you see the world. And no one has a point of view like yours, and no one's going to have to say the same thing as you, but it takes a very long time. So I suggest, rather than call it stand-up, call it a one-man show. That way, people are a little bit kinder to you and you don't have the pressure of hitting a punchline every couple seconds.
And people assume that one-man show is going to be boring.
Oh, it's going to be awful. Wear your black turtleneck, come out to a sparse stage and start with, what a town.
When I was in college, I had a friend who's an actor who wanted to do a one-man show. So I wrote him one. And we wrote it was like a kind of a like very strange, dramatic, weird one-man show. And we did it. The first show he did was for like an audience in Orange County. And the play ended and no one knew how to react.
There it is.
It was dark and weird. He yelled at a baby, an imaginary baby, for about 20 minutes in that show.
Good performance art really gets you. It doesn't have to be explained, and then there's everything else.
It didn't have to be explained. They just knew it was weird.
When I went to a performing arts camp called French Woods, and I remember I was in a play called Philip Glass Buys a Loaf of Bread. And it was one of those where there's like 5 of us on stage and we're each moving in sync, and then your synchronicity gets off and you're all moving in different directions on the stage. And it was about Philip Glass, the composer, but then there was it was just the weirdest thing, and it was called Philip Glass Buys a Loaf of Bread. So it's not exactly the type of material my type of audience listens to, but I was in it. War Bison. With your differences in profession, do you or how do you pretend to care what each other has to say at the end of the day? What's the pre-bed routine? I think a big part of marriage is trying to listen. Sometimes you'll talk about food and it's so granular that food is always fun to talk about. That's why so many people are self-proclaimed chefs and make at-home food, and everybody says they're a foodie.
At-home food.
At-home food.
You just said make food.
I don't know why I said that. Well, versus a restaurant. Sometimes you say stuff and I think about how dorky it is because it's so inside baseball. Or you'll tell me about like a taco place that opened, and in the back of my mind, I'm like, I don't really care, but I care enough about you that I'm going to react to it.
Or not.
Or not react to it?
Yeah.
Yeah, there are plenty of times I don't react. Okay, I'm acting like you don't know that. In my head, I'm like, wow, I'm really passing off as someone who's totally listening, but he knows.
Yeah, and also it's okay to not have things that you talk about with each other because the other person will find it boring.
I mean, the amount of times that I will rant about some minute comedy thing and I'll start arguing both sides, and Noah will just be like, who are you arguing with right now? What's happening?
Now what does he say? And then what does she say?
And then he says, well, it wasn't my stage time. And he's like, what does she say? I'm like, well, then she would say, quit bothering me about it.
Yeah, the toughest part about quarantine is actually that like I have to hear the same rant to everyone on the phone and then me twice when you think about it again because there's no one else for you to say it to, and then we're all within earshot all the time.
Just being married to a woman is you listening to your wife tell the story to her best friend, her mom, a couple of other relatives over FaceTime. Thank God for headphones. But for the most part, I care because, look, if it's about him, then it affects me, whether it's about something financial or a restaurant or a recipe he's trying, or it'll be just about a chef I've never heard about, but, you try to derive something or just say, just sometimes you just need the soundboard. Mm-hmm. What's our pre-bed routine? I'll tell you exactly what it is.
Noah wakes up, goes to bed.
It's sitting on a couch. Noah admits that he's getting a little tired. before me. I say, good, get gone then. So it's either you getting tired or I take a little bit longer to go to bed because of my face routine and my lotions. It's always you in bed first. He always has a full glass of water.
Why are we giving them like the blow by blow of like what?
Well, it's not. And then I
routine
prepare
is?
your penis. No, I put on about 8 layers of clothes because I'm always cold. The dog hops up in bed. We kiss goodnight on the private parts. You listen to a podcast, you fall asleep. I scroll through my phone. And that was my top of the cob. Oh, I wrote it down. There's no real routine. It's just me taking as long as I need to prepare my face. And you listen to a podcast about basketball.
Yeah, the key is to find something just interesting enough to push away the
Anxiety?
crazy thoughts that I have a very active head, so sometimes it'll just start to get going in my brain and I won't be able to sleep because I'll be thinking about a bunch of stuff. So the podcast has to be just interesting enough to push those thoughts away, but just boring enough.
They know they're listening to one right now as they fall asleep. Also, we had something really stressful happen the other day. It has nothing to do with a baby. I feel like as a woman in her 30s, you can't say anything that's like ominous without like, did you lose a baby? Something really stressful and awful happened. And so I couldn't sleep that night. And I got up in the middle of the night and I was like, you know what? I'm going to clean the kitchen. And everything I picked up managed to find its way to the floor. Like just metal hooks falling, onions falling. And I was going to surprise you with a clean kitchen.
You surprised me.
I surprised you by waking you up. Oh, you're mad at me because I cut you off when you were talking about your podcast hack.
I'm okay.
Okay, well, people know to fall asleep to podcasts. Now you're going to get quiet.
I just nothing.
All right. Abby, Harvey. Does Smokey Husky have a favorite brand of frozen pizza? How does he feel about Trader Joe's?
I don't have a favorite brand of frozen pizza. I usually just make pizza, or work in a pizzeria. But according to, I've been randomly watching sometimes those one bite pizza reviews. He's been doing his quarantine pizza edition, and he's I don't know that I actually trust his opinion because he's just over the top dude. But his number one on his board is what is it? Newman's Own. So maybe that's the answer.
That one Wookiee. What do you like least about Tianfu, and what do you love the most? Oof.
I know what you love least.
What?
It's when she like surprise super loud barks out of the blue.
Oh my God. She's such a quiet little cloud angel. The slightest rumble outside, it's just like, ah! You're like, do we live with a parrot? It's just so jarring. Other than that, I love everything about her. What about you? Come on, dude. They're asking you a question.
It was for you. You answered.
They're for both of us.
It's yeah. I don't like that she like forgets. If I leave the room and I go downstairs and then I like come back upstairs, she hears a noise and barks again. So it's like every time
scared.
So it's like if it's just like now I know that because I get up pretty early, if I walk back into the living room from the other room, it's going to wake my wife up is an annoying thing. So I have to like decide.
But she is incredibly pliable. And I mean that physically, like you can pick her up, she's very comfortable. And what I love is seeing how happy she is and how sweet she is. And I love seeing how comfortable she's become. You know, the reason you adopt a dog, so this is not like we breed them for money. This isn't a purebred. You adopt a dog to give it a good home. And it fills my heart to see how happy she is and how she's becoming herself. And when she has all of her toys, and she's just a very sweet animal. And I like to think that we brought that out in her.
And she saw a cat today.
She saw a cat today. That was a big fucking deal. All right, we got one more question. MF Hawk, Iliza and Co. Is now the time to confront deep-seated family secrets while we're all quarantined under one roof? Love your live shows. I say yes. Set it on fire, and from the ashes you will arise, a new Phoenix family. Caw.
So, Dad, you're also my brother.
I just feel like, and we're the kind of family, at least the Schlesinger half of it, my dad will tell you friction makes a pearl. Get it out, because it's got to come out somehow. And now no one can run anywhere.
Friction also makes a fire that kills everyone.
And pressure makes a diamond. So I'm just saying. These blunt forces, blunt trauma to your emotions can sometimes be a good thing. I don't know your family. I don't know what's wrong. I don't know if it's like a drug issue, it's a physical issue, but it's as good a time as any. Get it out. If you're going to say what you're going to say, you're going to say it. You're going to feel what you're going to feel. It's already there. You know?
Rip the Band-Aid.
Stay ready and gotta get ready. It's time for Top of the Cob.
It's the top of the cob. We're doing it right every day. You just take a bite, top of the cob.
My name is Tian Fu. I've got a small mouth. Every day, I've got a small mouth. I'm Tian Fu. All right, let's start with your Top of the Cob. Would you like to?
Yeah, my top of the cob.
Engage, Top
is
of the Cob.
a film we watched the other night that I've been hearing about as being great for a while, and I finally got a chance to watch it. It's called Portrait of a Lady on Fire. It's
So
a
good.
French film. It is on Hulu right now, streaming, and it was an outstanding film. I think it's one of those movies. I think it's better to not know anything about it and just watch it.
It was visually beautiful.
Beautiful. It's like a very simple kind of very sort of still seeming premise, but was a very just alive, active, vibrant movie that was compelling and just sort of like you're just sort of watching it and just sort of slowly builds, and all of a sudden you realize you're just like riveted.
Yeah, and there's a really fun fact about it. There's no score. You don't realize it until you're done. You're like, oh my God, it was so beautiful, and there was no music that wasn't already in the scene. It was just you see that movie, you're like, oh, that's what an artfully mastered, beautiful film looks like. That's why we went to film school, sort of. Also because they didn't have comedy degrees back then. My Top of the Cob, this is kind of sad, but I don't care. Because I started doing this because I was like, this is ridiculous. But now I find this very soothing. I scroll through Instagram. I find this very calming. I used to do this with coffee drinks, like there's this one account. It used to be my Top of the Cob, y.na. I think she's Korean and she makes coffee drinks with jazz in the background. And I find it very soothing. It's just hands. I started scrolling through to look at baths because girls go bananas. Like all of a sudden it's a bath with like $800 worth of roses in it and a plate of pancakes and a book and coffee. I love a warm bath for about 10 minutes and then I got to get out of there. Not even 10. But I find something very soothing about looking at the baths other people have constructed. There's an art to it. You got too much shit in there, literally. A colorful bath bomb grosses me out. I saw a girl the other day who was in a dress, in a bath with a plate of sushi and some balloons. It was very weird.
I'm just thinking of the poor husband being forced to take 4 million photos while she keeps readjusting the 90 roses that are going to go
Get
bad
the crystals
in her bathtub.
and the taquitos. But I do think there's something soothing, and I just like looking at them.
I do not.
Okay. You haven't even looked.
You showed me some.
Okay. That being said, our bath is just the bath. We put some salts in it, but that's it. Epsom salts, but that's it. We don't have even one of the trays because I don't want to read in the bath.
Medical bath engaged.
Medical bath. Bottom of the Cob. One of my pet peeves are vacuous, gigantic, impossible to answer, not in specificity, open-ended questions. Like on text, someone will be like, hey, how's LA? Like, what the fuck does that mean? Engaging with, oh my God, that's what it was. That's
how's
my other
everything.
That's my other, you know what? I'm just going to do it because I don't want to forget it for next week. That, because it's like a bullshit check-in. You know, how's New York? How's the fam? People mean well, like, hey, how are your parents? They're fine. If you didn't hear about them dying or sick, they're fine.
I only ask that when I feel like I'm supposed to ask something.
Exactly. I hate that when I was single and someone would be like, hey, how's New York? I know it's a dude like, you want to fuck? That's what, hey, how's New York? How's a whole living, breathing how's LA? It's fine. Nobody actually cares. It's just them being like, see, I checked in. That way I can say I'm a fan if I ever need a favor. I just think it's such bullshit.
It reminds me of one of my favorite like Jalen Rose isms when he was talking about when like NBA players on
Basketball
social
player.
media or like they're like on the road for a game and like, what's good, New York? How's everyone doing? What that actually is a signal to single girls to DM you because they want to get hookups.
Yeah, and I also, this is a major, major pet peeve of mine, and I'm glad that I remembered it. I cannot stand when people say congrats. It means nothing. It's the most empty congratulatory thing you can say. You couldn't muster up the energy to type the full congratulations. So you give me this bullshit, emotionless, abridged version. It always makes me feel like the person's doing it through their teeth, like, congrats. And I have good friends do it, like, congrats on your show. I'm like, oh, that's so meaningful. Thanks for taking the fucking time.
This is such a old person get off my lawn take.
I'm sorry. I just think congrats It's like typing thanks, THNX. Like, really? You really couldn't be bothered? So what congrats means is, hey, the subtext of that is, hey, I want to go on record as saying that I was happy for you in case I never need anything and I want to look like I'm being a good friend, but in actuality, I kind of don't care. I know that sounded like my stand-up. I cannot stand congrats. I think it's just such a faux, congratulatory, meaningless thing to say. You may as well say nothing. So you just know that. Hey, congrats on the show. I'm like, cool. I can tell that took a lot for you to do. Okay. It is the email version of a thank you card. Thank you card should be handwritten for like a wedding gift. Just saying. You know what? You want to let me know you care? Then you take some time. The most important thing we can give is time. And when you say the abridged version of congratulations, it lets me know that you're really saying, fuck you, I don't care. No one's like, congrats on your baby. Like, I'm just saying. All right, you go. You're so great, you go.
My bottom of the cob is this like, yeah, I'm social distancing. Well, except this bullshit. Do you guys not know how like math and probability works? If you're saying, no, I'm keeping to myself. Well, except, my friend comes over once in a while and he doesn't really see anybody. He's totally by himself, except that he hangs out with his girlfriend and they go back to his mom's house and they make dinner. And it's like, all it takes is this is how ripples work and how contact points work. The whole point of this is like, you're not special because you're bored. Like this is how it works. This is math. It's probability. Look at it from a cold, objective standpoint, and you don't get to see people.
We have a friend, and we're a friend. Like, I hang out with
lots of people who are doing this.
Yeah,
everyone tells me, we don't see anybody. Maybe we'll come. We've all been quarantined for 2 weeks. We could all hang out now and have dinner. And then you go, oh, really? Have you seen no one for 2 weeks?
Well, my girlfriend.
Actually, my roommates.
I've got roommates, or I have a friend
who live below us.
Yeah, he has a building that he owns, and he's like, yeah. And then we go in the garden together, and you don't know what those other two people that rent the room from you do. You don't know what other people are doing. So
people still trying to do the elbow tap when they see you, and like, no
touching. Anyways, yeah. So that's how disease gets spread. This has been, I almost said this is Don't Panic Pantry. This has been another episode of Ask Iliza Anything.
Speaking of, we got brown rice pudding to make, baby.
What time is it? Oh, we got to go to Don't Panic Pantry. Okay, and that's how we keep busy, by online social engagements that pay nothing or very little. Not the podcast, but, other things like that. You guys, we love your questions. We did not get to all of them, but more will be back. We love you. Ask me. But stay home and do it through a mask me.
This Thanksgiving, Butterball wants you to really connect. Let's get back to sharing traditions together around the table. Let's talk like we used to. We'll help with the turkey so you can enjoy every moment. Visit Butterball.com for turkey tips.
High Five Casino lets you play your favorite slot and live table games like blackjack with the chance to redeem for real cash prizes. High Five Casino has a giant selection of over 1,200 games, including hundreds of exclusive games only found on High Five Casino. It's always free to play, and free coins are given out every 4 hours. Ready to have your own High Five moment? Visit highfivecasino.com. That's casino.com. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. Must be 21 years or older. Terms and conditions apply.